Today I'm going to show you how to do install the top end kit from Cylinder Works on this CRF450 2002 all the way to 2008. It's pretty much the same shit. Alright, here we go. We already inspected the crank, everything looked good, there was no issue. So now the first step is to go ahead and prepare the area, clean it with some contact cleaner, lube the crank, drain the oil, get everything adjusted to where you gotta go. And then we're gonna go ahead and once we got that, we're gonna pull this box apart, gasket kit, piston, and the new cylinder. Okay, after you have already cleaned the surface for your top end, everything's ready to go, then you're gonna go ahead and start breaking everything down. First thing you want to do is get your new cylinder and make sure you go and wash it with some soap and water so you can get any debris, any shit that might be inside the cylinder. Even though it's brand new, it's always precautionary. Okay, after you're done washing it with soap and water, meaning here the interior, wiping everything down, then you're gonna go ahead and come back, and usually with a little bit of a compressor you'll be able to do it. Just went ahead and washed it, get all the water out all these little crevices. You can flip it around, make it easier. I'm just showing you for the video. Once you got everything aired out, dried out, then the next step would be, see, all this is all completely wet, to go ahead and oil your cylinder. Now the next step would be get a nice clean white rag and dampen it, oil it all up, so you could go ahead and rub the inside of the cylinder and lube it all up all the way around. And make sure that the rag stays clean. Once the rag stays clean, doesn't look like it's grabbing any dirt, then your cylinder is completely clean, and then you're ready to go to the next step. Once you're done wiping and oiling up the cylinder, you go next to your piston. We're gonna go ahead and put the rings on it. Make sure that at the same time when you're handling this cylinder, you don't drop it because it'll throw it off. Very important, guys. Do not drop this piston. Do not overstretch these rings when you install them on the grooves, okay? Follow the directions, the instructions on the paper. Very simple. That's gonna show you which position they gotta go and where they have to line up, okay? I can't show you that because everybody's gonna do that on their own. Follow the instructions and we'll be good to go. I'll show you the end product of this. And you have to also lube and oil the piston so you could put the rings in there nice and smooth and then start installing everything. One thing I always like to do is I like to install one C-clip first. Is there C-clips? Okay. I usually like to pick the one that goes towards the side of the timing chain. Okay, and I use this same pin to I'll put it in here and then I'll push the pin through to kind of make sure I drop it into the groove without scratching it. Once I got that set, then I'm ready to go and install my rings. The side towards the timing chain would be, you know, your left side, making sure that you look at the mark at the top of the piston that shows a little triangle, the little arrow that's pointing forward. Okay, you can't make that mistake. I've seen people install them backwards, and you know what? Things ain't pretty, man. They end up paying double for everything just because I finished installing my rings. Next thing you're gonna have to do is check the ring end gap, which I already did. Follow the procedure on the instructions. They'll show you for 4-stroke, 2-stroke. You know, obviously it's a 4-stroke. Then after I already did that, I like to pour a little bit of oil on the top of the on the actual piston here where the rings are, and then I'll just circle it here. I'm making a mess just to kind of show, but I always like to do this that way I can make sure that I get a little bit of oil on everything. Okay, and I go all the way around the piston, so I make sure that it's nicely lubed before I go ahead and slide it in the cylinder. But the next step's gonna be to put my cylinder on first. Okay, I already went ahead and put in the piston. Very simple. Okay, just I put the pin on it, almost just the edge. I had already put the C-clip on the other side like I had told you. Push the pin through, holds it, and then that's when I go ahead and I put in the last C-clip, which is right there. If you look at the piston, you can see there's really no scratches on it. from the side. It's just all you need is a nice little small narrow flat to pop it in. Make sure that you always put a rag underneath, because you don't want that C-clip popping out by accident and going straight into your crankcase, and then you're in deep shit. Okay, after this, then you just got to remove your rag. Okay, and then here I already have the base gasket on there. Me myself, on my personal view, I always like to put a little case sealer around the water connection here. It's always worked for me. I mean, you don't have to. The gasket's supposed to do that job. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my oiled cylinder, which is right here, nicely oiled, cleaned up, maybe a few hairs of the rag, but I'll wipe those out. And so now we're going to slide this cylinder on. Normally in this procedure, you don't need any clamps or nothing for the rings. You can do it by hand. You just go ahead and carefully slide your cylinder over the top. Make sure that your cable is in the way. Line it up. Before all this, you have to also have your timing chain ready to go. I'll just put a zip tie on it so I can actually grab it and pull it up. Okay, once I got that set up, then I'll go ahead and grab my piston carefully. And the chain can drop. And this is the hardest part, pretty much, because you're trying to line it up as best as you can, fighting between the 4 bolts, you know. Some of the other models that just have the Yamaha where you don't have to deal with these bolts, it's always the best way. These Hondas always a pain in the back. Once you line it up, it's easy. You're doing it carefully with your fingers pushing the rings and lining them up. Okay, I'm going to show you once it's lined in. Main thing here, guys, is to make sure that you're patient when you're sliding this in. It takes a couple minutes, and you might have to go around the bike once or twice, but you want to make sure you don't pinch any of your oil rings, which are the real thin little ones at the bottom. And as you're putting them in, if it comes out on one side a little bit, you push it in slightly, but you don't push down hard on the cylinder where you're gonna bend your rings. The rings are pretty sturdy, pretty strong. They'll take a little fold, but not a major, you know. So you gotta go ahead and press it down lightly. Right now, it's already pretty much in there. Now from here is, you just get a rubber mallet, or if you have, you could tap it with your hand, and it will start going down gradually without any problems. And at the same time, you're gonna be making sure you hold on to the chain. Once it lines up, pull it all the way through so you don't have any problems with it. Some people might tell you use a rubber mallet. You really don't. If you tap it down, you see, and you just gotta keep kind of wiggling it. The piston, if you see the rod ain't even moving, the cylinder's actually sliding down. You line these up, these will kind of get in the way sometimes, and just kind of tap it down a couple more times until you get it all the way down. A rubber mallet won't hurt. You tap it over the top, you have somebody help you out, and just kind of, you can hold the base here, and then that'll make the cylinder pop all the way down. Okay, so after you did all that install, you want to just reach the bolt, put a little hook right there. Not tight, just enough so it holds the cylinder. So after you did all this work, you're able to pull your chain up and, you know, go through it on the other side of the crankcase and pull it through. So you can see your cylinder go up and down, just kind of run it through. You could do it by hand, or you could do it with your ratchet on the other side, but I normally will do this. So you pull the chain through. It gets a little hard, but you could do it. See if it pulls nice and smooth, and then you can return it back to top dead center. That's what I normally will get ready. Don't forget, once you're set, make sure that this arrow is pointing forward, because if it's pointing backwards, you just did all this work for nothing. You're gonna have to start all over. All right, and then after this, we're gonna put the head, and that's a major part right there, the torquing, because that's what's gonna hold this whole cylinder down. All right, guys, well, thank you very much. That is how to install a cylinder on a CRF450 from 02 to 08. Watch our videos so that you can see the how to install the head.